we are going to move to the news that we didn't mention at the top of the show because it's been an ongoing thing all week. I was thinking about doing a breaking news thing with this week, but at the same time, it was I think it was assumed by most that Collin Klein is now the Kansas State's new head coach, was officially hired last week. This has been a rumor for a while. We had talked about Oklahoma State being a potential destination. Obviously, North Texas's head coach is going there. But again, this is one of the greatest players to ever play at K-State. He was a Heisman finalist with Johnny Manziel after the 2012 season. He's been working go ahead.
He's in the Ring of Honor in their state.
Yeah. When you're in the Ring of Honor for a college team and you're a coach, you're going to get a call. Like, that's just how, especially if they have an open job. Again, he probably got the approval of Bill Snyder, who still is like a mafia boss in the way he runs things still.
Pretty much.
No, we all love Bill Snyder. But it's one of the things where I think at the fan base, and I think it was last Friday when he was officially hired, he had a press conference where he was asked about how he's going to juggle his current offensive coordinator duties, play calling duties during the college football playoff. He is staying with the team during the CFP. And he basically said, look, I'm going to prepare for the team we have like next week. Like right now, he's calling around, trying to build a staff. He's recruiting. He's talking to guys in the transfer portal, probably. Well, I shouldn't say that. It's tampering technically, but he's, we all know it though. He's doing his job as a coach. He's trying to get the lay of the land, and on the other side of his day, going into next week, he's going to be full on preparing for Miami with the rest of his staff during the day. At night, he'll do his head coaching duties. And I think a lot of people didn't like that. They think, why don't you just leave now? Let somebody else call the plays. He's trying to continue what he started here. We talked about that. He's got a close relationship with Marcel Reed. He's helped develop this young man as a quarterback he is now. He obviously, this offense is his baby. This is what got him this head coaching job. He's not going to throw it away to just start his new chapter now, while he could end up, helping A&M lead them through the tournament. And look, I think he's going to be focused. I think that he was right. He even said during his press conference, this is going to be hard. I like when things are hard. He's a very hardworking guy. He knows the challenges ahead, but he's not going to slack off when it comes to A&M. It's a CFP, for God's sakes. I don't think I need to say this isn't just some game he's going to be calling plays for, because if he can help A&M get to the quarterfinal or farther, you think that's not going to help his recruiting and his acumen? Of course it is. And he knows that. That's just part of the game, right? And Elko knows that. I guarantee they've had discussions about this and said, look, you need to be focused on this game. And I mean, give Elko some credit, man. Like he knows what's going on. And I think
what was telling is that I think when Elko first hired Collin Klein, we knew already just the caliber of play caller that he already was at Kansas State. But I don't think people realize just how good he could be up at a major, major level now with an SEC like talent roster. And he was able to tailor make an offense after year one, where he was kind of working with what he had and making it all about the quarterback system and a run game. Like, that is not easy to do in 2 years. And then going back to your alma mater to be the head coach of a team where they give their heart and soul to the team and the head coach gives their heart and soul back. It's a very, very cool place in Manhattan. So I think that he's going to do great things at Kansas State. I'm really excited to see what he does. And I think the rest of Aggieland has also had that mentality. I don't think I've really seen anybody either trashing or saying things. It's because we knew this going in, and he was a finalist for one of the top. He still is a finalist for the top assistant coach in the nation, who I think it's going to go to the defensive coordinator at Indiana. But
yeah,
Collin Klein has really made a name for himself over the past 3 or 4 years, and now it's paying off for him and his family. I think that's honestly really, really cool. But for all the Aggie fans, he is not going to shy away from the moment, especially if A&M wins this first game and goes to the Cotton Bowl to face Ohio State. He is splitting his attention, but not in the way that you think. His attention for the game remains fully and solely on winning the games for Texas A&M, who he loves it here. It's just that if you or your hometown or someone that had called you specifically told you, hey, we have the number one spot open for you here, we want you to take it, I don't think you're saying no 9 times out of 10. So I think that it's honestly been a great ride with Collin Klein. And from all that I've heard so far, I don't think, well, I mean, A&M has already signed pretty much all their class. And Collin Klein, from what I've heard, is going to take a couple of assistants with him, namely tight ends coach Christian Ellsworth for a place on his staff, and of course QB assistant Josh Buford. So those are two people who A&M is going to have to replace, and I think they've already kind of pegged a replacement tight ends coach, although not fully finalized yet. But the main question is, Cameron, now, where does A&M go for that offensive coordinator position post 2025, right?
Yeah, we talked about it pre-show. I think both you and I peg wide receiver coach Holman Wiggins as the top candidate. I think that we kind of see that he's been the number two. He's co-offensive coordinator right now, and in lieu of his wide receiver coach duties and recruiting and all that. He knows the system. He knows Marcel Reed. He understands the importance of having speed and separation at wide receiver. Obviously, he was a big key in getting Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver to College Station. This is somebody who you can trust. This is somebody who was an assistant head coach under Nick Saban at Alabama, who he trusted a lot, even more than Lane Kiffin at one point when Kiffin kind of left on whatever terms those were to take over at Ole Miss. But respected guy, respected with the roster, respected with the rest of the coaching staff. I wouldn't call him like an up-and-coming coach, but I would call him as a very solid option, somebody who you really have to – it's very seamless, right? It's just keep him in staff. We don't have to worry about, making a ton of changes in the offseason, all different language and all that kind of stuff that comes with hiring a new coordinator. I know, for example, in the NFL, it's always a mess when, changing your defensive coordinator is very popular. There's a question with Matt Eberflus and the Dallas Cowboys, for example, and there's this whole conversation of, well, they've been bad at spurts, but do you really want to go in the offseason, make an entire change, get a new system with these players, and they have to learn throughout the offseason and implement it in the season? It's like, if you don't have to do that with this offense, which with Marcel Reed returning, with Mario Craver set to return, Casey Concepcion, we're thinking he's probably going to go to the NFL right now, but we'll see what happens there. But obviously they have a very talented wide receiver class coming in with a couple guys who could see the field very early. Aaron Gregory, for example, they've got a lot of talent coming to that position. And this offense is still going to be built on speed. It's going to be built on a healthy run game, blocking up front, and Marcel Reed's dual threat ability. So having a guy like that who already knows all that, who kind of knows the type of plays that Reed is comfortable with, that, again, just keep the system where it's at, add some new wrinkles in, but at the same time, you don't need to complicate things. I think that's a good spot. In my own article, I did put Holman Wiggins as the number two option. My number one was obviously Bobby Petrino. I still think Petrino is the top play caller in college football right now. I think he is still you want to score a ton of points. This is the guy to do it. He doesn't really care about defense too much, but he's an offensive coordinator in this role. His time with A&M was muddied because of Jimbo Fisher and the Jimbo Fisher things of we're going to run what I want to run. You're just here in name only type of thing. He did that with a lot of coordinators that, didn't really help their careers, which that's kind of a Fisher problem. But with Elko, he hands it over. He would just hand it over. Marcel Reed already. You've watched this system. You faced this system this year when you were interim head coach with Arkansas. I think it's seamless as well. I think he liked College Station. He's raising his family here. I think it's a very quiet community. I think he likes that kind of stuff. Mainly why he liked Fayetteville. Look, I would give him the call immediately, but at the same time, I think you and I both agree that Holman Wiggins probably is the number one option. But at the same time, this week is really going to be, we're already seeing that with these coaching changes and everything. This is where Elko is probably calling around, talking to a lot of people, or maybe he's made his decision already, because I think you and I also agree that the decision will be made, but it won't be announced probably until after the college football playoff.
Yeah, I think that when we've seen the success that A&M has had in recent years now, where you don't make the flashy hire, and that had success with Mike Elko when they hired him back away from Duke. It wasn't the top name on the board, nor was it this Kalen DeBoyer-esque who had just gone to a national championship type of flashy hire. It was someone who knew the system, who knew exactly what they were getting into, and who knew they could build from the ground up again with a culture and a system in place that fit Texas A&M. I think that if you were going to hire an offensive coordinator, we saw Collin Klein know exactly what to do with what Mike Elko had in store for him with that mentality. And he shared that throughout the entire 2 years that he's been here so far. So I think you need to go out and assess all your options, whether external or internal, and find the guy who fits what Texas A&M is going to need. Not want to do, but what Texas A&M is going to need to continue in year 3 under Mike Elko. Whether that is a Bobby Petrino, whether that is keeping Holman Wiggins and upgrading him to the full-time offensive coordinator role. We don't know yet. But I think a lot of people, that's where the fun in it comes, is you can speculate all you want. You can look at the stats of other teams. Maybe it's a group of 6 head coach or offensive coordinator or even an assistant that they have had success from those stats on paper in terms of offense. Like a great example is as Eric Morris from North Texas, who just got accepted the head coaching role at Oklahoma State. They averaged over 500 yards of offense during their time this season. And even though it ended against Tulane in that American Championship game, I think you saw the success that they had on offense. And that's why Oklahoma State needed to get a head coaching hire wrapped up early. But they knew what they wanted. They wanted a guy who could come in and take over a program where a head coach had been the last 30-ish years. Mm-hmm. And take it to the next level that they weren't going to get under the previous coach. I think I'm going to go back to it. I think that I read your article and where it was people like Bobby Petrino, Holman Wiggins. I think you and I've had discussion before about Gerard Johnson.
Yeah, and Gerard Johnson's interesting. I mean, I throw that out because it's a lot of teams do this with familiarity. Gerard Johnson is a rising star in the NFL. He's been kind of stuck at QB coach because the Texans, are an interesting organization, very defensive led, but he's done a good job in that role with the quarterback injuries they've dealt with. Houston is not the best offensive team, but he's instilled a confidence in both his QBs. We saw it against the Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday night. Like, that's the type of coach that is an up-and-coming guy, probably a future offensive coordinator, potentially NFL head coach in the future. But at the same time, these offensive coordinator jobs in college football at the biggest programs like Texas A&M are premium gigs that can lead to head coaching opportunities down the line. So I think throwing a feeler out there, I think is okay. Obviously, Gerard Johnson has watched A&M all year. He's a fan. He's an alum. Like, he's probably been watching and kind of analyzing as a football coach. So there is familiarity there. And look, I didn't say, when I wrote articles about that with Aggies Wire or whatever, yeah, some of them are just saying, hey, look, here's a guy who is connected to the program that maybe he should just give him a call. But at the same time, I do think that because of the success this season, his decision won't be as tough. I think that if we were in a situation where A&M was just horrible on offense and they were wasting their talent, he'd really go deep into this search, looking for a guy who can solve all these problems. The fact that they were a top 20 offense this season and knowing that they have a guy on staff in Wiggins who would likely continue that, he's just not going to change a lot because he's been working with Collin Klein all season. I think that's why he's not freaking out about it, essentially. And he's, we haven't seen a big name announced. We think of John Sumrall at Tulane, who took the head coaching job in Florida. he went and got, I believe it was Georgia Tech's offensive coordinator.
Yeah, for Buster Faulkner.
Buster Faulkner, who
I think was a target for A&M initially.
Yes, I do think that was somebody they were probably looking at. But again, he's going to go with new head coach. And I said this being a new head coach, fresh opportunity, can make a name for himself to potentially be a head coach one day. And that's the thing about these jobs, especially at a place like Florida, where, like, let's say John Summerall's not looking great, but DJ Lagway, oh man, look at under Faulkner. They've really taken that next step. He's going to be getting the shine. It's all strategic. And it makes perfect sense why some of these guys take that job. For A&M, though, I do think they're going to get a lot of feelers for a lot of interesting coaches to run this offense because of the fact that Marcel Reed is returning. The fact that Marcel Reed already has taken that next step in his second season, first season starting, and he can really only get better from here. I don't see him getting worse. It doesn't make sense unless they just can't block at all. I mean, that's a different story. But at the same time, getting a guy in here to coach somebody like Reed, who can only get better and can only get more closer to that Lamar Jackson-like play that we all assumed we'd see. He didn't run the ball as much this season, but that was by design. Who wouldn't want to coach that, right? So there's going to be a lot of interesting candidates out there. Like you said, Elko moves very fast, as we've seen even this week with some of the changes. I don't think it's going to be a splashy hire, personally. And to be honest, I don't know. I think Aggie fans, like you said, with some of the responses we've seen with Collin Klein, have been very, very nothing burgers. Just, hey, congrats, see ya. Some people not happy that he's still calling plays because they think he's going to be distracted. That's natural. I get that. But I don't think there's going to be a lot of vitriol towards whoever if he keeps Wiggins. I saw some good responses to that because I think they know Wiggins. I think they've known that if Nick Saban trusts you and makes you and gives you these great roles and titles and keeps you in the program and wouldn't want to have lost you to A&M, that's a good sign. That's somebody who can take over and not be a problem for your staff. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think he just has so many options because he can go that younger route, that kind of risky, but man, if he works out, watch out type of route. But maybe he just wants to keep it comfortable and not have to focus on that while he could be focusing on other things. I don't know.
It makes sense. And I think what could be a fun thought exercise that could just get people's heads in the right space of where people are throwing names out. I think you and I should name one just way too far out there, or one person that's been floated around that you've seen somehow in the ether floated for this potential position, because I have a couple names that I want to throw out, but I'll settle on one. So if you have anyone that you were kind of like, I could see it, but not exactly realistic.
I think you and I both agreed on this one, but Tim Beck. So Tim Beck at Vanderbilt, what he's done with Diego Pavia is nothing short of incredible. Pavia might win the Heisman at this point. We have to remember Pavia was a 2-star recruit.
I think he was just a JUCO.
He was a JUCO guy who got maybe a couple star, maybe 3, maybe 2 in the transfer portal.
I think it was a transfer portal rating that got him.
Maybe 2 or 3. I don't know. I mean, the moxie that kid plays with. I mean, he is Johnny Manziel-esque in every way. And undersized guy, but a weight room hero, somebody who puts all the work in, and this offense. I mean, like Vanderbilt is not that talented. I mean, they have some dudes, but compared to like A&M's roster, they don't have what A&M has, and that's a lot of credit to Beck and his play calling and his ability to utilize the tools he has. Mm-hmm. It's incredible to watch. So I mean, that is a guy who, I mean, if he's even looking at a move interconference, give him the money. I mean, I'm all for that. But, Vanderbilt, I think, is on the rise. They just landed, probably the biggest arm in the 26 class, and they've got a pretty bright future post Diego Pavia. So I don't know if he's looking to make that type of change. But that's really the only guy outside of like a Gerard Johnson. There's some NFL guys that, I don't know. I don't see them really making the change to college right now, but that's really the only guy kind of out of left field that I would say.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go along those lines. The most out there name that I've heard is Brian Dable.
No, you know what, Dable, and I did write about that. I thought Dable was fascinating because you gave me that idea. Yeah, look, he needs a job.
As interesting as that would be, and I know he's been credited for kind of building the Josh Allen that we know out of since he was a project out of Wyoming, according to some experts in 2020.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it, but I think it's a little bit too far out there for what Mike Elko's trying to do.
Yeah, I think it's a 1-year rental. That's the problem. I think that Dabble, he's got a very, what was I think it was the off season with the Giants or whatever. I think that was like his second to last season. He's a very serious dude. Like he's all like business, football, scheme.
It is all football with him.
All football with him. So there's no, I love College Station. I love to be, none of that. It would literally be like, I need a job. I'm going to make this offense one of the highest scoring offenses in the country, and then I'm going to leave. That's how I kind of look at it. Like, then I'm going to get the next job, because he did that with Alabama. He saw Alabama is a pipeline to the NFL, kind of like it's a pipeline to head coaching jobs, as we saw with Steve Sarkisian, Lane Kiffin. Steve Sarkisian, if he was not OC for Alabama, he would not be at Texas right now. I think Texas fans even know that. So I think if he saw A&M that way, like, okay, fast track to get another NFL job, maybe. But, I don't know. I don't think Elko wants to deal with that, because I think it would be two big brains together, and maybe it would clash a couple times. And maybe not. I mean, Collin Klein is a very, I wouldn't call him soft-spoken, but very easygoing guy. He's not football.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that, I don't think it's a great pairing. So that's why I do think that getting a current college coach is probably the route. Gerard Johnson really is, he's the only legitimate one because of his connection with A&M.
It's a little bit almost too hard to predict at the end of the day. And you just, like I said before, maybe it's just not the flashy hire that you go with, but who can predict at this point? So
we'll find out. I mean, we will probably find out. We'll find out if A&M loses to Miami or if they beat Miami. We could find out that week, because they do have I think it's like a 2-week gap, or because they would play the 31st, so it's like a week and a half or something. But there will be some news probably coming in the regard. I think Elkos is pretty good with understanding how the media works. I mean, he did say he was going to be a journalist if he wasn't a coach. So he was going to be in our job if he wasn't a coach. But I think he knows how to work it. He's not going to announce something right now to get us all he wants us all to focus on Miami, talking about A&M versus Miami. Look, that's what we're doing. But at the same time, this is just an intriguing question, because we don't want to see drop off, right? We don't want to see this offense take a tumble next season, because and we're going to get into this offseason, no matter how far A&M gets in the CFP, what this team's potentially going to look like, who they're going to return, the incoming, what the 2025 class, the impact they're going to make, what some of the guys in the 26 class, who they're going to target and transfer, all that stuff. But knowing that Marcel Reed is back and most of his offensive pieces are returning with him outside of Le'Veon Moss, you can kind of project what this offense is going to look like if they continue this same scheme that's under Collin Klein.